So when I arrived on a college campus in 1998, my fellow dorm mates and I put our heads together and tried to figure out why the internet was so slow. And we came to realize it was because this thing called Winamp and these music files called MP3s. You see, the entire college campus was trading music and bringing the internet to its knees.
So how many MP3s do you have on your computer?
About 600.
The next year I moved off campus with a group of other guys and the same thing happened, but this time it was because of something called Napster. You see, for a couple years, Napster was the single biggest thing on the internet. It was crazy. It's kind of a cool concept. You searched up a song, and if another user on Napster had it on their computer, your computer simply downloaded it from their computer. It was simply peer-to-peer file sharing at its finest. But whatever happened to Napster? And what can we learn from it as business owners and operators? My name is Scott Monday and I own multiple businesses in California's Central Valley, and I love making videos about businesses you and I grew up with and the lessons we can learn along the way. You see, Napster started with a teenager and a simple frustration. His name was Shawn Fanning. He was 19 years old and he was frustrated because at the time, if you wanted to buy music, you had to go down to the music store and pay $15 to $20 for an entire album. So if you heard a song that you liked on the radio, you'd have to go buy an additional 11 or 12 songs, many of which you didn't even want. And at $15 to $20, that was a lot at the time for a college kid to spend.
Yeah, I would like a CD player, but I can't spend $16 on a CD.
What Shawn did is he created a program that was very simple, and it was built on this peer-to-peer file sharing platform. And it went crazy. In just a few months, it had between 60 and 80 million daily users. So here's the deal, Napster wasn't just about free pirated music, although that was a huge part of it. It was also about the customers telling the music industry, we don't want to be constrained to the bundle. We don't want to have to go out and spend $15 to $20 on 12 songs, 11 of which we don't even want. So in essence, at the end of the day, Napster was some of the loudest feedback customers could give the music industry, and the artists and the labels ignored it.
It's very important that the internet go the legitimate route instead of becoming a haven for pirates.
But of course, there was a fundamental flaw to Napster, wasn't there? They didn't own the music. They weren't the labels, they weren't the artists, they were simply this road that the illegal music traveled on. So the music industry, of course, got wind of this, and in 1999, the Record Industry of America sued Napster. And that was kind of a big deal, but Napster didn't sweat it too much. But then, enter Sandman.
Napster, bad!
That's right, Metallica, one of the biggest bands of the 80s and 90s, issued a lawsuit and said, hey Napster, we want the user information for all 300 million current and past users of Napster.
What the hell do you think you're doing, man?
Holy crap! You're freaking law dogs from Metallica!
Now, why was this a big deal? Each one of those users represented a music fan, right? These were the people that bought concert tickets, that bought t-shirts. These simple people that just wanted a song for free here and there, right? Metallica and the music industry as a whole, they were going after them, and they were going after them hard. So in March of 2001, a judge ordered Napster to pull all copyrighted material off their platform. Napster tried to create a filter, but of course that didn't really work. And within 2 years, Napster was gone. They got sold off for parts and kind of the name floated around here and there, but it was never to exist in its past state again. So the labels and artists won, right? They killed Napster. Well, really, at the end of the day, they lost. And here's why. Because in 2003, a little computer company called Apple launched a little online store called iTunes. And they sold songs one by one for about 99 cents each. That didn't decimate the music industry because the artists and labels still got about 70 cents on the dollar. But what happened was the labels and the artists completely lost control of distribution. That control went squarely over to Apple and iTunes, and it forever changed the way people bought music. In fact, within a couple decades, music stores like Warehouse went out of business. Once again, it was a change in the way people bought music, and the labels and the artists had very little control over it. In fact, once iTunes launched, recorded music sales fell from 12 billion to 7 billion over the next decade. Almost in half, because they couldn't figure out a way to distribute the music and keep the profits. And I'm sure the labels were frustrated. At the end of the day, they had everything they needed to build the distribution system, and they didn't. They were too busy suing college kids and grandmas and people like that, bringing lawsuits against all these users that at the end of the day simply wanted to buy their music in a different way, and they just didn't figure it out. So here's what I keep coming back to. Napster wasn't just about free music. Napster was the customer telling the industry that they didn't want the bundle. They would sell 2 or 3 great tracks wrapped up with 10 or 11 others. And as things went on, they tried to add like album art and bonus tracks and things like that, but it just didn't work. So here's the question that actually matters to you and me. Where in our business are we trying to sell a bundle that our customer doesn't want? This hits home because for about a decade, one of my companies, a kitchen and bathroom remodeling company, we would only sell complete kitchen and bathroom remodels. It was what we were built on, right? And I dug my heels in about this for over a decade. A couple years ago, we launched a few products that were specific parts and pieces. So for example, a shower only or a countertop and backsplash only. And those products took off very nicely. And I really regret pushing back against what the customers were asking for 10 years when I could have simply offered that up front and they would have really enjoyed it and it would have benefited them and the company. So what about you? Where's the bundle in your business that your customers quietly resent? The thing that you only let them buy one way and on your terms? Drop it in the comments. I read every one of them, and be honest, because this could be one of the bigger questions you ask yourself this year. If you want more breakdowns like this, hit subscribe. And I also write about stuff like this on my Substack called The War on Mediocre Business. I'll go ahead and drop that link in the description of this video. I'm Scott Monday. This is Whatever Happened To, and I'll see you next time.
Napster. Sharing's only fun when it's not your stuff.